What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Before I start this video, I want to spread my love and send my condolences to Jose Fernandez, who just passed away. Very young, 24. He was a star pitcher with the Marlins. He died in a boating accident in Miami, so rest in peace, and my condolences go to his family and friends. Now, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe. I'm on my Instagram, and I have a quote from the Los Angeles Times from Golden Boy official Eric Gomez, who's Team Canelo, is Golden Boy. He's the matchmaker, and he was just recently elevated to the president of the company Golden Boy. And this is a direct quote from that. I'm going to pull the quote and give some thoughts. It's regarding the Canelo versus Triple G fight we all want to see. And Eric Gomez says, I could come up with 10 or 20 points that prove Canelo is by far the bigger draw, meaning between him and Triple G. I don't want to negotiate in the media, but if they want to discuss the rest of the points, come over, sit down. We're serious about making the fight. No excuses to get out of it. We are willing to make the fight. The notion that we're scared is ridiculous. Call our bluff. We're ready to make the fight. So he says Team Canelo is ready right now to make the fight, and is really on Team Golovkin, Tom Loeffler, K2, Abel, Golovkin, and to accept the deal and negotiate and make the fight. So this whole situation, I gotta be honest, is getting messy, because it's like they're trying so hard to recreate Mayweather versus Pacquiao. This fight will never be that, and I'm sick of saying it. And the reason being is you could wait 5-10 years. By the time Mayweather and Pacquiao were talked about, they were both on the top 5 pound for pound list. They had done phenomenal feats in the sport of boxing independently. They had set records and had crazy sellout live gates and attendances, and drew crazy crowds, and beat up on legends like Oscar De La Hoya, and then Floyd knocked out Ricky Hatton, and Pacquiao knocked out Ricky Hatton. They had done all of this independently. This is a new breed, social media age. It's a little bit different. Canelo has a loss. It looks like there is a style that could beat him. People, when it came to Mayweather and Pacquiao, felt only they could defeat each other. Like, who would you pick to beat Pacquiao at that time? You know what I mean? 5-6 years ago. Who would you have picked to beat him other than Mayweather? Same thing for Mayweather. Who would you have picked to beat Mayweather other than Pacquiao? You know what I mean? You knew these other guys weren't really, they didn't really have it, the experience or whatever, the style to beat him. That's why people wanted to see that. There's no proof that Canelo's unbeatable, because he has a loss, arguably too, to Erislandy Lara. We haven't seen Golovkin in with the premier names enough to know if he's unbeatable. You know what I'm saying? He looks to be unbeatable, but that's because he's fought a limited talent pool. The first time he stepped up with a skillful welterweight, we seen him look more vulnerable than normal. So to me, that stipulates the better the competition, the more skillful the competition, and the attributes they possess, the more likely that we'll at least see a competitive fight, instead of a Matthew Macklin, Adama, where those guys are just, they taste the power and then they just, like, you know what I mean, tuck their tail and like curl up, kind of, you know what I mean? So this whole situation with Canelo Triple G, yes, I want to see it, but it's getting very messy, because you hear different sides. Like, you know what they need to do? An HBO face-off, not with Canelo and Triple G. Do an HBO face-off with K2 and Golden Boy. You know what I mean? Get Tom Loeffler and Oscar De La Hoya and do old school Jerry Springer style, Maury Povich style, and have a lie detector test. That should be the face-off. De La Hoya versus Loeffler, or Eric Gomez versus Loeffler, and we'll see who's telling the truth, who really wants to make the fight. Do a polygraph test. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's coming down to. Is different teams have done different things and said different things and contradicted certain points that they previously made. Like, it's just all over the place. At one point, it looked like Canelo wanted to bring Golovkin down to 55. Now that's not an issue. You know what I mean? Golovkin's team says, oh, we'll beat anybody down from 154 to 168. But that 168 never comes to picture, because they're like, why should he move up? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to unify. Or when it comes to 154, man, we ain't fighting Cotto, Canelo, Lara at 155. We're not fighting Andrade at 154, but we'll fight Floyd there. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, it's a case-by-case basis. Different things I agree with Team Canelo, and different things I agree with Team Golovkin. Me, as a boxing journalist, aficionado, reporter, whatever you want to call me, a fan, I just want to see the fight. You know what I mean? So they're supposed to link up in the next 2 weeks to sit down and make the fight, but I'm not trying to fall for this little patsy, this game of stringing it out. You will never make... You notice something about historic fights, whether it's Thrilla in Manila or Maypac Fight of the Century or whatever. You look at those fights, those were organic. That's just what those fights were. Muhammad Ali had the mouthpiece. I shook up the world. I must be the greatest. I'm too fast. I don't like fighters who talk too much. I'm too slick for them tricks. I'm ready to back up every word I'm saying. Those fights just turned out to be what they were based on the circumstances, the timing, and everything, and it just fell into place. You can't make that artificially. You can't manufacture that. You know what I mean? Golovkin and Canelo is going to do whatever number is going to do. You don't have to force the issue. Like, oh, we're going to marinate, string this out, and get fans on both sides pissed off trying to maximize the profit. If you do what you're supposed to be doing when you're supposed to be doing it, the profit will be there. You know what I'm saying? Period. That's how I look at it. I said this in my Canelo Liam Smith video. 250 to 300. Canelo could do way better numbers. He's clearly a star, but it's all about the opponent. If he's doing 250 to 300K with a no-namer from across the pond, then I have no choice but to believe if he were to fight a more perceived threat, like a Charlo brother in Texas, one of them, Demetrius Andrade, Erislandy Lara too, who is based out of Texas right now. I think he trains in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he moved or something. But if the threat is perceived greater, then the numbers are going to be better. You know what I mean? Period. Again, if he's drawing those crowds, 51,000 and 250 to 300K with a no-namer from another country, then imagine a guy with a little bit more of a name. You know what I'm saying? I have no choice but to believe the numbers would be better. So when it comes to this Canelo Golovkin thing, there's different things I agree with Team Canelo on, and there's different things that I agree with Golovkin on. Like as far as Canelo, I agree he is the A side. I mean, there's nothing you could tell me that would suggest otherwise. He's the A side. He draws bigger crowds. The fans want to see him. I mean, he's getting a lot of ridicule, but he's the A side. It's just what it is. And Golovkin hasn't paid his dues in the same fashion as Canelo. You look at it, Canelo has conceded to fight Floyd Mayweather and Cotto, right? In those promotions, Cotto had a better resume. Cotto had star power. And I even picked Canelo to win, but he knew his place. He knew his role. Cotto had done more in the sport. So, yeah, Canelo, he took lower money, like a guaranteed purse, and the lion's share went to the known, more proven star, which was Floyd and Cotto. And then after he beat Cotto, now no one's really talking about Cotto, and Canelo has a spotlight. You know what I mean? So maybe Golovkin has to do that. You don't have to do it with the weight. Maybe you have to take 10 to 12 million with a percentile of the pay-per-view back end. To me, that's not sounding like that bad of a deal if you really want the fight. You know what I'm saying? If you really wanted to fight somebody, you really and truly wanted to fight them, and someone says, not only will I give you 12 million to fight them, but I'll also give you a percentage of the proceeds of the pay-per-view. I don't know what percentage, I don't know what split, but I don't think it'll be 1% or something like that. But I'm not negotiating. That's just my thoughts. But some portion of the proceeds. So if it's really massively successful, then you're getting some level of a cut. That's what is being discussed. You know what I mean? If you truly want to fight him, maybe you have to concede in that way. Just like Floyd had to concede and give in to De La Hoya's demands, who was the bigger star, about the glove size, the ring size, who has top billing. You know what I mean? This is random, but Tim Burton's Batman came out in 1989, if I'm not mistaken. Jack Nicholson was the bigger, more accomplished actor. The movie's called Batman. So Jack Nicholson played the Joker. He didn't play Batman, right? He played the Joker. Michael Keaton was the title character. He was the leading guy, right? But if you go look at the old like VHS tapes and stuff, it said Nicholson Keaton. You know why? Because Keaton, like The Rock says, he knew his role, and he knew that just give Nicholson what he wanted, which was top billing. It says Nicholson Keaton, even though the movie's not called Joker, it's called Batman. So he could have pressed the issue like, hey, I'm a star too. I'm a popular actor. You seen Beetlejuice? You know what I'm saying? But he didn't do all that. He just said, okay, fine. It is what it is. Nicholson, Keaton. My name comes second. So sometimes you have to concede in little ways. Look at Canelo's looking like, yeah, ego. Tell him that. Tell him to concede. So we'll see what happens next, man. I just really want to see the fight. I will give you guys continued coverage of this fight. I do think certain things make Canelo look bad too. See, I call it like I see. I think the dropping of the belt was not a good idea in that fashion. You can't say, get in the ring and we Mexican, we don't fuck around and all this extra stuff, and then drop the belt. That's not a good look. It really doesn't. There's no way you can make that make sense to me why that should be your next move after saying that. That's just really what it is. So let me know what you guys think. That is my current thoughts on this whole matter. Hopefully they meet up and can reach some agreement. Another thing I got to give Golovkin props for. Canelo fought Amir Khan and then a welterweight who'd been stopped at 135 and 140. And he moved all the way up after only 3 fights at 147, moved all the way up to 155. And then he fought Liam Smith, an unknown guy. At the very least, and I'm not trying to, again, there's a lot of hypocrisy, so I'm not trying to contradict anything I'm saying or anything like that. But at the very least, Golovkin did fight a welterweight, which I didn't condone that either. I told you the whole daring to be great thing is for the birds. But at least his fighter was considered a very skilled fighter and undefeated with no knockouts, right? He had never been knocked out like Amir Khan. And then now it looks like his team is seriously trying to push for the WBA ordered Danny Jacobs fight. So if you look at this year, I got to give more props to Golovkin for his opponent selection over Canelo. Now, again, they both picked welterweights. Fact. They both picked welterweights, but I think the welterweight that Golovkin chose, at least he hadn't been undefeated, if that makes it slightly better. And then, of course, Danny Jacobs is clearly more of a threat. You know, I mean, a guy with 1 loss a while ago, cancer survivor who's learned, and off an impressive win over Sergio Mora, a guy I don't think had been stopped before. He knocked him down like 5-6 times. Known power puncher, knocked out Quillen in 1 year, or 1 round. And now if he fights him in December, clearly Golovkin's 2 fights trump Canelo's 2 fights for the year. Let me know what you guys think. Share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing.